A year ago, the demand for Prime was so intense that it pushed the brand to a $1.2 billion valuation. Today, that momentum has stalled. Bottles that once sold for extreme markups on the secondary market are now filling clearance bins, sitting under neon signs that highlight aggressive price cuts. This oversupply is a physical reality. Production continued at a massive scale, even as interest shifted, leaving warehouses full of unwanted inventory. We have to analyze whether this represents the failure of a traditional business model or if it is simply the natural end of an internet-driven hype cycle. The abruptness of this decline suggests that viral success can be a fragile bubble. Without a foundation of long-term brand loyalty, the business remains vulnerable to the moment the algorithm stops prioritizing it. This chart tracks the brand's performance in the UK, where profits plummeted by 92% in a single year. Consumers were paying for a physical marker of digital status. The contents of the bottle were secondary to the social clout the brand provided. In the digital economy, that social currency has a short lifespan. The status associated with a product can evaporate the moment a trend reaches its saturation point. Logan Paul and KSI launched the product at a moment of peak cultural influence. They are now facing a market that has devalued their brand as quickly as it initially embraced it. Relying on clout as a primary value proposition creates an unstable economic model. It guarantees a collapse once the product is no longer the focus of online conversation. This graph shows Congo Brand's strategy. By deliberately suppressing supply, they triggered a buying frenzy, making the product feel rarer than it was. When production scaled to meet demand, exclusivity vanished. As supply rose, perceived value crashed to zero. At the height of this growth, the founders presented the brand as a disruptor capable of unseating legacy sports drinks through the sheer reach of their personal platforms. However, the audience's attachment was tied to the thrill of finding a rare item. Once it became a common grocery store product, there was little brand loyalty left to sustain sales. When a brand is valued primarily for its unavailability, achieving mass retail distribution becomes a strategic liability rather than an achievement. To maintain their momentum, the company pivoted into the energy drink market, a move that would bring the brand under intense scrutiny. They released cans containing 200 milligrams of caffeine in bright packaging that was visually similar to the kid-friendly hydration version. This triggered a regulatory response. Senator Chuck Schumer called for an FDA investigation into the brand's marketing and its impact on younger consumers. Federal scrutiny is based on health data and safety standards. These are institutional realities that cannot be influenced by the charm or reach of a creator. Fame provides no insulation against the legal and regulatory consequences that come with operating in a highly controlled industry. Running a YouTube channel requires a focus on capturing attention. Managing an international business requires a different skill set, one focused on global logistics, managing physical inventory, and long-term planning. Operational issues like inventory gluts and mounting supplier lawsuits are not problems that can be solved with a jump cut or a clever edit. This creates a visible shift in presentation. The loud energy of the internet persona often disappears, replaced by a much more somber, measured tone when navigating high-stakes business crises. This is the operations cliff, the point where viral marketing outpaces a company's ability to manage its own scale and safety. Building a sustainable business requires operational discipline and quality control, traits that are often at odds with the chaotic energy used to build a digital audience. Zooming out from this business failure reveals a broader lesson about the nature of internet trends. The digital algorithm is designed to consume attention. It is fickle by nature, and it will eventually shift its focus away from any obsession toward the next available distraction. The founders of Prime have navigated public setbacks before. For them, this billion-dollar decline may serve as an expensive lesson in the realities of physical commerce. As Robert Greene points out in his study of human nature, cultural icons act out qualities that their generation wishes it possessed. They become projections for the values of their time. True resilience involves absorbing the lessons of a public failure and evolving beyond the need for constant online validation. Internet fame is loud and performative, but the mastery of a craft happens in solitary moments, away from the feedback of an audience. This type of work requires executing a task without the immediate dopamine rush of viral metrics or external approval. Strength and discipline are developed in these empty rooms, far removed from the cycles of social media. While fame is a temporary lease granted by a crowd, a lasting legacy is built through these unseen daily habits. The noise of the crowd is eventually revoked. When that happens, all that remains is the work that was done when no one was watching. When the trends inevitably fade into the void, the only asset that remains is the foundation built through that quiet, daily discipline.